He is reporting about the Iraq Study Group's findings.
There are a lot of very good people who are part of the group, but whether it's a lowest common denominator committee result or not, I really don't know. The fact is, this is a very bad situation. Our country has to find a way to get our troops out as quickly as possible without making the situation even worse.
If the history books were written by people who are so eager to write off this effort, to declare it a failure, including many of our friends on the media, the situation obviously would have been over a long time ago.
Does it do enough to acknowledge the results of the midterm election and the message that voters were sending this administration, if these are listened to, these recommendations?
Well, the report this morning is actually one of several studies. There's one in the Pentagon. There has reportedly been one the White House itself is ginning up. And they're all basically saying the same thing, Matt. This is an utter disaster. This was the worst strategic mistake in the entire history of the United States. And now we as a nation have to find a way, in George Mitchell's words, to manage a disaster.
It's easy to stick your finger in the air and figure out which way the winds are blowing and then try to get in front of the herd. This president doesn't work that way.
Not about him. It's about our country, and we all have to find a way to get our troops home and to prevent a regional conflagration.
This is a vitally important piece of business. It needs to be done. The consequences of our not completing the task are enormous. Just think for a minute. And think for a minute, Wolf, in terms of what policy is being suggested here.
In fact, the option of winning militarily, according to former Secretary Rumsfeld, is gone. The stated goal of a military victory has gone the way of weapons of mass destruction. No longer exists.
Democratic response last night.
The president took us into this war recklessly. We are now, as a nation, held hostage to the predictable and predicted disarray that has followed.
And it's not just Jim Webb. It's some of your good Republican friends in the Senate and in the House are now seriously questioning your credibility because of the blunders, of the failures. Gordon Smith.
Wolf, I simply don't accept the premise of your question. I just think it's hogwash.
Remember, there were no blunders?
The issue is the environment, in particular global warming. Are you hearing anyone out there who may be thinking of running for president spending enough time and energy talking about this issue to satisfy you?
I simply don't accept the premise of your question. I just think it's hogwash. You're not asking.
Yes, I am. I'm just asking.
You're not asking.
Yes, I am. I'm just asking.
You're not asking.
Yes, I am. I'm just asking.
You're not asking.
Yes, I am. I'm just asking.
Global warming?
Yeah.
No, not yet, but it's early. And here's the linkage between those issues, Matt. The climate crisis is caused by the burning of all these fossil fuels, and our entanglement in the Persian Gulf region, where the biggest proven reserves are to be found, is linked to it. Here's the second linkage. There were clear warnings before the decision to invade Iraq that it was going to be a catastrophe. This was predictable. And the head of the army said, we don't have enough troops. Others said, this is a terrible mistake. And now what we're seeing with this report and all of the others is a situation that really where there are no good outcomes.
The comment you made a year and a half ago, the insurgency was in its last throes. How do you build up that credibility? Because so many of these Democrats and a lot of Republicans now are saying they don't believe you anymore.